My name is Chloe Cole. I'm 18, and my story is not hyperbole. Starting around the age of 12, I began to believe that I was transgender. This belief was not organic. All the media I consumed as a kid showed me how stupid and vulnerable being a girl was. All the sexualized images of women gave me an unrealistic expectation of womanhood. I spent a lot of time online and quickly saw all the praise coming out of trans god on Instagram and other social media. I was a bit awkward in school and had some trouble making friends. Like many dysphoric children, I also suffer from a variety of mental health conditions, so I easily fell prey to the narrative that if I felt different and did not want to be a highly sexualized girl, I must be a boy. I obsessed over becoming a boy. I believed that all my insecurities and anxiety would magically disappear once I transitioned. The mental health professionals did not try to dissuade me of this delusional belief. I was fast-tracked into medical transition after I was diagnosed with dysphoria. In California, a child can pick their gender identity, and a care provider questioning that would be considered conversion therapy. This wasn't a misdiagnosis. It was mistreatment. My parents were told that the options were transition or suicide. They complied because they were not offered any other treatment solution for my distress. My distraught parents wanted me alive, so they listened to my doctors. I was placed on puberty blockers and testosterone after expressing my gender dysphoria to my therapist, and I was approved for a double mastectomy all by the age of 15. No one explored why I did not want to be a girl. More and more kids are falling for the false promise of happiness if they transition. Gender clinics in the US are turning a blind eye to European countries or pumping the brakes on this experiment on youth. Who here really believes that, as a 15-year-old, I should have had my healthy breast removed, or that it should have been an option? When the CDPH got less than 300 reports of people getting hospitalized as a result of vaping, San Francisco banned vape products that same year. So I know that you care about the health of children, yet you are allowing doctors all over the state to remove the healthy breasts of children. How many more children's bodies will be destroyed before you actually listen? What is a sweet spot? 100? 200? 1,000? SB 107 will open the floodgates for confused children like me to get the gender interventions that many so regret. I am the canary in the coal mine.
You can't listen to that and disregard it all that easily. Unless you live on the Twitterverse, where an individual like Chloe Cole, who comes out and speaks out about her experience in all of its atrocity. When an individual with her experience comes out and speaks out against it, lambasted, demonized, mocked, and I follow her, mocked in some of the most disgusting, vile ways you can imagine. It's when you're allies, you're heroes. The second you become anything but an ally, it's public enemy number one, race traitor, trans traitor, bigot, whatever. She's 18 years old now, by the way. I hope to be able to have her on for an interview one of these days, because her story is it's going to be one of many, and one of increasingly many stories. And it highlights something that I'm not sure most people might take a step back and appreciate. It's easy to be judgmental, and I do include myself in that. Sometimes I come to conclusions too quickly. Doesn't mean they're wrong. It just means haven't gone through the thought process to contemplate everything. And one of the reflexes that a great many people come to, and I have the same reflex, is the parents are to blame. Listening to her speak here, I now can appreciate how some parents get, I want to say duped, get pulled into this system. How some parents get brought into the despair. It's either this or the end of life. You either do this or this is what's going to happen. And when you have professionals, not every parent is amazingly well informed. Not every parent is independent thinking, goes out and does their own research. Not every parent is strong enough to get through the hard times without caving to what they think will be the easy out to the hard times. And it never really truly occurred to me, or I never fully appreciated it, because I knew of Chloe Rose's story, Chloe Cole's story. And I said, oh my God, I said she must hate her parents. She must have a tremendous amount of resentment to her parents. And no, people, that's not confession through projection. I love my parents. We had hard times when I was a pain in the ass as a kid, but it's not projection. I say, like, my goodness, if my parents had allowed me to do that, or if my parents had encouraged me, and I came to Chloe Cole's realization, I think I would have a great deal of animosity, resentment, anger, hatred towards my parents. Listening to her speak, where in her sensitive approach to the issue, she understands how her parents, like her, were led into thinking it was either this as the solution or devastation. And another, I'm sensitive to that now, and it'll be a if it ever happens, an amazing, interesting discussion to hear this. The other thing that it also makes me appreciate, like, analogous to what we're seeing here in Canada. I say what we're seeing in Canada, though I'm no longer there in physically, with the medical assistance in dying, where doctors, professionals are coming in and saying it's the ultimate decision, or it's a misery, and there's no alternative remedies. Where these medical professionals come in and they're talking to children who are vulnerable and parents who are vulnerable. No parent likes seeing their kid go through distress. And so the parents are looking for the solutions as well. And you come across a professional who, as a reflex, or trying to normalize this, what they try to pretend is reversible, temporary, just, we're going to put puberty on pause. And then the parents say, my goodness, it's either this or we lose our child. It's terrible. And it's terrible. And now you have, I will say, individuals who have lived through the experience coming out and speaking out against it. And then they get lambasted by the ever so tolerant media that is so open to everyone's diverging thoughts that the second someone diverges from what they are putting forward as the new trend of the day, the new not avatar, icon, what's it called when you put something in your profile? The new profile of the day. Speak out against it. You go from being an ally to an enemy, even if you have the most firsthand experience with the issue. Sorry, people, I'm caving today. That's the intro. So we'll see. We'll see if it happens with Chloe Cole. Worth following on Twitter. Tremendous story, tremendous person, and it takes courage. It takes courage to take the first step, and then it takes courage to deal with the onslaught. People, who the hell watched that Biden speech last night? Sweet, merciful goodness. All right, we're going to get into it. I got the clips and I got the highlights, and I watched it. I watched it all, people. I didn't watch it in real time. I watched it very shortly afterwards, just so that I could watch it at 1.75x, because I didn't want to watch that in real time. We're going to get to it. Standard intro disclaimers, people. Super chats like this. Etienne de Gaulle. I feel horrible for this person and others like them. They already had problems in life and had them exasperated immensely. I agree. I mean, she mentioned mental issues. I mean, it's the most vulnerable need protection. I'm not thoroughly convinced that in today's day and age, the most vulnerable are getting the protection. I actually think they're getting the exploitation. Okay. Super chats. YouTube takes 30%. If you don't like that, we are or should be simultaneously streaming on Rumble. Rumble has Rumble Rants. They take 20%, so better for the creator. Yeah, you know the shtick. If you want to support the channel, vivabarneslaw.locals.com for lots of great exclusive content. VivaFrei.com for merch, whatever. No medical advice, no election fortification advice, no legal advice. And above all else, no recommendations, encouragement to become the monster that the world seems to be battling now. You got the leaders of nations seemingly doing their best, doing their utmost to demonize large swaths of their own citizenry, turn large swaths of their own citizenry against large swaths of their own citizenry. One would ask why. You know, I was driving with someone today, and we were discussing, and they said, why? And I said, well, it's divide and conquer is the umbrella term, But why divide and conquer? Well, 2 minutes of rage, getting people to rally behind hatred is a very easy way to substitute for your failure as a government. You know, the 2 minutes of rage in Orwell's 1984, it wasn't necessarily about the rage. The rage itself was a distraction from the failure. And when you get people who watch that Trudeau speech or who watch that Biden speech and they say, yeah, tell it like it is about those pesky anti-vaxxers, anti-science, racist, big, yeah. Oh, for a second, they forget about inflation. They forget about all of the devastation of an economy, of a generation. They forget about it for the 2 minutes that they're like, yeah, I hate them. They're the reason why it's all happening. Biden's speech last night, how long was it? 45 minutes? It was 45 minutes of rage. So that it's an amazing substitute. Get people to rage against the other, and you can get them to forget about all of the current incompetence, inflation, devastation, corruption. We haven't really talked about Justin Trudeau's ethics breaches in a while. Aga Khan taking a $50,000 all expense paid vacation to a philanthropist's private island while that philanthropist is petitioning the federal government for tens of millions of dollars in federal grants, which they subsequently get, and you don't declare the gift because it might be something of a conflict of interest and you might want to avoid that problem. And then it comes out that you had your RCMP come down and they had jet skis and they didn't pay their bill, and then the taxpayers have, I'm not talking about that. Oh yeah, led to an ethics breach, a violation of the law, a violation of the ethics code or whatever it's called, which is the law, but it has no sanctions because it's not supposed to have criminal sanctions. It's just supposed to have political repercussions. Political repercussions, re-election. Are we talking about the We Charity scandal? No. Are we talking about the SNC-Lavalin second ethics breach, firing the Minister of Justice because she refused to carry out your unlawful corrupt bidding? Are we talking about that? No. We're talking about closed borders, anti-vaxxers, protests. Peaceful protests, which we have to use as the distraction to forget about all that and to demonize the very backbone of Canadian society. That Biden speech was 45 minutes of rage against MAGA Republicans. Oh, we'll get there. We'll get there. Okay. Keep bringing that up, Viva. We should all remember the many ethics. 2 violations of the law. It's not, I'm not, I believe it's technically correct to refer to Justin Trudeau as a criminal. Ethics Law Canada. Let me just hear. Justin Trudeau ethics violation. It's a law that he broke twice. And it has, there's some monetary, slap on the wrist fines. They're not even a slap on the wrist. It's pocket change. But it's a law. And the idea is that when the Prime Minister of Canada violates that law, not once, but twice, and had 3 ethics complaints that were ethics violations investigated. I don't know how he got out of the We Charity ethics violation. They came to the conclusion that when his wife and mother, his wife was only accepting gifts from the We Charity. His mother and brother were getting speaking fees to speak at fundraising events by the We Charity in the order of hundreds of thousands of dollars. His mother and his brother getting paid by the We Charity, which was a charity, which was then awarded a $1 billion no-bid government contract to manage, let me rephrase this. It was a no-bid government contract to manage $1 billion in student loans for which they were going to get paid $20 million. No-bid, sole source government contract to the charity that had been greasing the wheels, so to speak, paying his mother and his brother hundreds of thousands of dollars in speaking fees over the years. Nothing. Let's talk about those people are putting us all at risk. Let me see here. The controversy over the federal government's decision to grant a $912 million contract to the charity with links to the Prime Minister's family opens Prime Minister Justin Trudeau up to conclusions that he violated federal ethics rules a 3rd time. What is the law itself called? Twice already, Canada's Conflict of Interests and Ethics Commissioner, Mario Dion, found the Prime Minister violated ethics rules. The first was in 2017. The second was just a year later. No. Hey, when you didn't get punished the first time, why stop? Let me just see this. Here. So we're going to go, it's the law. Canada, the Conflict of Interests Act is a law. No public officer shall make a decision or participate in making a decision related to the exercise of an official power duty. Yeah, early on today, people. Or function if the public officer holder knows or reasonably should know that in making the decision, he or she, or they, or if we're going with Time Magazine, A, would be in a conflict of interest. Justin Trudeau says, I should have recused myself from the decision to award a sole-sourced, no-bid $1 billion contract to a charity that paid my mother and brother hundreds of thousands of dollars. And he didn't have a third ethics violation for that. Nothing to see here, people, except corruption through and through. What better way to distract from that corruption? Exactly what they're doing now. Trudeau has no interest in ever abandoning the COVID crisis. He has no interest in ever dropping the COVID emergency, because the second he does that, we go right back to understanding we are actually being governed by a twice ethics law violating, corrupt, divisive individual. That can help solidify your base, but to everyone else, you look like a madman. Well, what I find depressing, the furious Cinnabon with two cuddly panda bears fighting with lightsabers. What I find depressing is I probably spend I say too much time in that I get an inaccurate representation for the world, because everyone I see, or I see too much on Twitter of people agreeing with Biden, with Trudeau. Less so with Trudeau, but I see too many. And so I have I think probably the inaccurate impression that more people agree with Biden than actually do, and that he is actually turning off a lot of reasonable centrist individuals. I hope. Oh, so we're going to get into all of it today. First of all, may I ask how everybody's doing? Everyone's good? I'm not asking for congratulations. Staying married is like keeping a job. When people can't keep a job for extended periods of time, it's not necessarily the best thing. When people can't stay married for that extended period of time, not necessarily the best thing. I had one lawyer tell me the trick to staying wealthy, healthy, and happy: stay married. Keep your schmeckel in your pants. Don't mess around. And you radically decrease your odds of making big mistakes that cost you big time. It's my 15th anniversary today with my wife. 15 years we have been married. And what better way to celebrate? What better way to celebrate our 15th year anniversary? We went back. People, first of all, I'm schwitzing like a pig. Pigs don't sweat. Okay, I'm sweating like a caveman. My wife looks like she just escaped from Indiana Jones, and we're holding a baby alligator. I have now done this with all three kids individually and my wife individually, and we had a good time. We saw some big-ass alligators today. Big, and they were close to the boat. So 15 years, people. What does that show? Oh, it shows that even I can find a beautiful, smart, intelligent, wonderful woman who will stay married to me for 15 years and to another 15. How was the Biden speech? I watched Palpatine's. Sorry, I'm choking on my own tongue with all of this. I want to, in case people didn't know the A joke or the E joke, this is going to be a fun anecdote as well. Time Magazine has just it's become parody. It's become grotesque, obscene, ideologically driven parody. Yesterday, here we go. Yes, people, I had to respond multiple times to it because I had many ideas, and I can't get them all into one tweet. Time Magazine, I believe it's the same magazine that explained how they fortified an election, how they saved democracy by, circumventing democracy. Arguably, they saved democracy by changing the rules at the last minute, controlling media, changing laws, controlling the dissemination of information. Same Time Magazine, I'm pretty sure. Time says Time spoke to genderqueer author and illustrator Maya Kobabe about Air Work. the efforts to restrict access to air writing, and what A make of the current cultural moment. People, I don't know how I have. It's not. I have nothing against anybody's personal choices, sexual orientation, gender orientation. Marry who you want, practice whatever religion you want, love who you want, hate who you want. So long as one does not, your exercise of your rights does not infringe on my exercise of my rights. That's how responsible adults work. None of my business. I read this 3 times, not knowing what the heck was going on. I'm prone to typos, so I read this like, oh shit, that's got to be embarrassing for time. Air writing, dude, twice in one sentence. A make of their. Okay, then we can go to the article. We'll just read it for a few seconds. Genderqueer author relieved after court rules book sales can't be restricted in Virginia. Nor should they be. I mean, it depends. I mean, to kindergartners, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what the book is, but no, don't restrict book sales. Period. That's how free speech I am. It's a two-way street. But we have to see. Here we go. This is where one's personal preferences, when it commands other people to literally create words, and for what? Because we're going to get into the for what. In the 2019 illustrated graphic memoir, Kobabe, who uses air pronouns. Where did you get the A from then? Explores air process of coming out as non-binary and asexual. That's fine. Okay, that's fine. It's not just none of my. To each their own. Be happy. Live your happiest and fullest life. It was a 2020 winner of, okay, whatever. Non-binary and non-binary and asexual. Then presumably, no, thank you, Time Magazine. Presumably, the reason why. Come on, get out of there. I don't want to see that anymore. Presumably, the reason for which Maya is using these pronouns is because Maya has determined that they are asexual or non-binary pronouns. The question I have is, what the heck is gender specific or binary about they? They, which is an existing word, which refers to somebody else, typically in the plural, but sometimes when you want to refer to people without specificity, you'll say they, as in they went to the bathroom. I'm not sure who they are, not necessarily plural, but typically it is. What is binary or sexual about the term they? I think the answer is nothing. I'm not sure. I think the answer is nothing. And I'm not saying that to be glib or facetious. There is nothing gender specific, sexual specific, or anything identifiable about they. That's what it is. The idea that an individual is now saying, I want to create new words. And by the way, I got into a big fight with my mother once. Let's go story time for a second. We were playing Scrabble. And I put down, this is a long time ago, I put down the word EY, as in A. I said, A is a word, like, A, what's up? And we go to the Scrabble dictionary, and EY is not in the Scrabble dictionary. Then we went to Encyclopedia Britannica, whatever, one of those big encyclopedias, the dictionaries, and it was in that dictionary, but it was an Irish word from a poem that said, steal me a blink of your bony black eye. Never forgot that. That was like 20 years ago. But the idea that someone now says, this is the way I feel, I therefore demand that you literally make up words that don't exist for reasons that are not actually corresponding to reality, and that I'm non-binary, that's fine. But I believe that there's some sort of binary sexual gender idea to they. And I realized that it's actually a form of dominance and insisting on some form of capitulation. What's the word I said? What does air and a have to do with being gender queer? What is gender specific about they? This has nothing to do with gender. This is an act of ideological dominance, compelling ideological submission based on capricious whims. Congratulations, Time, you submitted. Like, this is now entering a realm. This is Time magazine went with it. They said, it's a question of respecting an individual to literally create words out of thin air for reasons which actually don't seem to be entirely justified, even following the logic of the request. Is someone at the door? Someone's at the door. And Time magazine goes with it. And Time magazine right now is engaging in the game of some form of, I don't want to say, it's not subversion, but ideological manipulation. Hold on 1 second. Okay, so that was the air. That was the air bit, in case anybody didn't know what the heck I was talking about. And now you might be saying, what the heck are you talking about, even after having seen it? Now, hold on. Okay, so now I didn't see the chats. Happy anniversary. Thank you. Happy 50th Frei-Days. Booyah. Freedom. Congrats, boss. Okay, so, well, thank you all for the well wishes. Good morning, Viva. Happy anniversary. My 30th is coming right up. That's amazing. My parents are married for over 50. I think the biggest anniversary is when you have been married together for longer than you have been apart. That's conceptually the biggest one. But now I look at Time magazine, like, have they always been like this? Has it always been ideological manipulation of the masses? The memes write air selves. Air, E-I-R. Well, what if someone says that's a male term? I mean, especially when you get into French, I think it's the same in Spanish, where terms have genders in terms of like non-masculin, non-feminine. So like feminine and masculine names, because you need to know when you not conjugate it, but when you describe it as an adjective, do you add an E to the adjective or not? When they create this term in French, the French equivalent for air or a, is it going to be a gender neutral term in the French language? It's going to be neither non-masculin or non-feminine, which means a feminine name or a masculine name. It's going to be air name. Don't call me there. When you refer to me, which as in the third person, which means you're talking to other people about me, I'm telling you how you have to refer to me when you're talking to other people, when you're describing me to other people. It strikes me, and I say this with the utmost of understanding and compassion. It strikes me as the type of thing, the game that kids play with their parents when they say, I want to see how far I can actually get you to change your behavior based on my beliefs. That's not how freedom as an adult works. My pronoun is y'all. What's up, y'all? Maggie Smith. And now, in case anyone missed that story, air. Today's our 33rd congrats. Take your family snorkeling to John Panacamp State Park. Won't regret it. We're trying to figure out a way to maybe get to the rocket launch tomorrow. It's those freaking dogs, man. Those freaking dogs. They if we board them, it's like $150 a night between the two of them. If we take them with us, it's like urine and feces in the car. Your anniversary is my birthday. Happy anniversary. Well, I didn't realize that my anniversary is the anniversary of the start of World War II. And I've got to say, the only reason I know that now is because Biden's speech in all its glory before the red pillars of death, 3 of them, by the way, 3 red pillars of blood red, whatever the heck they were thinking, was given on the anniversary of the start of World War II when Germany invaded Poland. Viva, I'm heterophobic. You're attacking me with your fro. Dude, it's getting crazy. But and the beard is growing back now. I got a little blemish there. And 15 years, congrats. Buy some booze and have some on non-communist. Some non-communist fun this weekend. Well, I'm back on the Red Bull wagon, so that's there's that. Okay, let's see what we got here. All Romance languages are gendered, and it drives leftists nuts. Hence, they made up terms like Latinx. And I've been told by a great many Latinos they don't like the term. It's like I haven't actually met, and we're in Florida. I actually just went to my kid's parent-teacher meeting the other day, and like the Spanish teacher doesn't use that term. Becherel added non-binary terms. Kids will have to copy 50% more as punishments. The Becherel was that French book that conjugated verbs. I don't know. Is that true? Dude. I'm gonna keep that one started. We're gonna fact check that one in a bit. If you yell "Hey idiot," I'll respond. Oh, yeah, well, me too, actually, by the way. Viva, after watching Darth Brandy's speech last night, do you worry that the US may be more hellish than Canada come November? No. Well, I mean, bottom line, the world is going in this direction at an uncomfortably high speed. If there's one place where there's going to be more pushback to the madness, it's going to be the States. Canada, rant like your kids' lives depended on it. The Autistic Tiger, thank you very much. I met the Autistic Tiger's dad at Project Veritas event. My pronoun is His Royal Majesty, King of the Seven Seas, Ruler of the Universe, Emperor of all, and may he live forever, Steve. That would be HRMK. Oh, but that would be ridiculous. Air. Just make up new words that it doesn't matter. Okay. Does time use? Okay, I'm not trying to get in trouble here. So do we get into the we'll get to some Canadian stuff later. So by the way, for those who didn't know, look, it's the world. I don't know how to use the simulation concept. Like, I see Scott Adams and Elon Musk joke about the simulation, and I try, but I don't think I understand the meme or the joke well enough to use it properly. But this is what I discovered. The POTUS and his administration, and we're going to get into it because I clipped the highlights. Oh God, sorry, excuse me. Got a little too much air there. The POTUS and his administration chose to deliver that speech with those words in front of that backdrop on the anniversary of the start of World War II. Now look at this, people. Ben Shapiro, not Ben Stein. Ben Shapiro said, name all the things that's wrong with this photograph, with this image. This image is so bad, I had to double check that it wasn't photoshopped, as did everybody on the internet who has been once burnt by sharing a photoshopped image. The narrative, the spin is that, it was only like this for a brief moment in time. Then they brought up the lights because they realized it looked like something you might have seen on an anniversary date, however many years ago. 41. Jesus, it's been 60, 70, 81 years? My God. No, what's my problem? Yeah, 81 years. Holy crows. Name all the things. Let's just go through a chat. You could do it as well. By the way, let's just go ahead and refresh and see if we're still green. Oh, we are. Nice. Let's just go through chat. You could do this as well as I can. Name all the things that's wrong with this image, starting from top to bottom. I'll start. In fact, I'll have to just do it because I'm not going to be able to read the chat. But number one, the eerie clock tower on the top, which can go one of two ways. It could either be that there's some deranged individual pervert sitting up in that clock tower, staring down at everybody. It's a haunted house. Or it looks oddly like the crosshairs pointed at me. That's one thing. The crosshair clock tower on the top. I don't know who thought blood red pillars was a good idea. And it's not even as though it can be defended on the basis that it's red, white, and blue, the colors of America, the colors of the flag. It's red and black. That's the color of V for Vendetta. That's the color of the Chancellor's backdrop in V for Vendetta. And now some are going to say, you MAGA Republicans, you stupid Canadians, it was just like that for a brief moment in time. They brought the lights up. Well, someone can retort by saying, it was like that for a brief moment in time and they brought the lights up. Did they bring the lights up because they realized how awful it looked? In which case, that's not a justification. That's just a mitigation. Or did they bring the lights up because they had already thoroughly terrified anybody who saw it? That's it. You got it? You understand what's going on here? Let's bring up the lights. So the clock tower in the shape of a crosshair on the top is a problem. The not one, not two, but three beams of blood red whatever is a problem. We got to zoom in for this one. We got to zoom in for this one because here we go. Because we won't be able to see it on the sides of this picture. Another problem. Oh, that's very welcoming. I mean, I know it's a still, and I know if someone took stills of me, you might be able to come up. I don't think you'd be able to find anything where I have two clenched fists up to the air, unless I'm talking about having two clenched fists up to the air. You might be able to get like some funny ones with my hands or like goofy faces. This looks like a raging tyrant raging against a mob of frothing viewers. This is 2 minutes of hate. If anyone has ever seen the movie 1984, which sucked in my view, whatever. So you got this. That's also a problem. Choice of colors, a dark suit, not necessarily the best thing, but look at this, guys. And I'm reluctant to critique this because military people deserve respect. Ordinary citizens who have not even experienced or what's the word I'm looking for, who have no grasp of the sacrifice that servicemen, military people sacrifice to serve the country, can understand. So I'm reluctant to even note any flaw in this, but it's kind of scary. And not the military man, just the position. All you see are the white gloves staring ominously at us as though they're protecting the leader, which they are, I guess. But it also looks more like a portal to some awful backdrop. If you take out the president, it looks like a monolith to an inferno. I mean, I just saw that movie there, Palm Springs with Andy Samberg. I mean, this looks like the inferno in the cave. And you got them, they're staring there, hands held tight, like wearing white gloves. I mean, this entire image, while some might say is totally representative and will become, unfortunately for Biden, the defining image of his presidency, of his speech last night, everything about it is wrong. Top to bottom, left to right, center out, everything about it is wrong. So he chose to give that speech with that. And don't trust me, people. September 1st to September 2nd, 1945. Oh, was it the end of the war? Hold on. September 4th. What's my problem here? It's the end of the war. No, what's the problem? September 1st is the start of the war. Did they like, now I'm looking at, did they plan to end it on the 6-year anniversary? Either way, it's such a wild coincidence that a lot of people are going to say it's impossible. No one will, I think few people will presume that Biden might have known that. I didn't know it, so I can only presume other people also were totally unaware of it. But within an administration of sufficient size, you can take for granted that someone knew it. And then you're going to leave people guessing, was it an accident? Was it deliberate? If it was deliberate, why was it deliberate? Is it just how it turned out based on timing? Maybe, you could have thought of doing it on the 3rd or something, just maybe, or maybe you could have thought of not making the backdrop look like something horrendous. So, yeah, there's that. I don't. He called my 9-year-old autistic nephew dangerous. All he knows about politics is his closest uncle voted for Trump, and that makes Trump all right in my nephew's eyes. I've always said that the worst thing that some of these governments do is pit family against family. And that's exactly what they're trying to do. Friend against friend, neighbor against neighbor, family against family. The only thing missing is the funny mustache. Oh, by the way, and if anyone thinks it's just one image, it's not one image, people. It's way more than one image, and I got the sound bites to prove it. We'll just go through a few of them. MAGA Republicans. MAGA Republicans has become the new political slur. It's white trash, rednecks were the ones, I heard growing up, not having been called, but those are the ones that we grew up with. MAGA Republicans, subhuman, dangerous, existential threats, clear and present dangers. And if you think I'm exaggerating, I'm not. Verbatim. Let's pull up that soundbite. Roll the clip. Roll it. Hold on, let me just see here. I just referenced Keemstar, and I'm not sure who in the chat is going to get that. Here we go.
To conservatives.
Here we go. Listen to this. This is one clip from the speech. So you don't have to watch all of it, people. These are the highlights.
That's why respected conservatives like Federal Circuit Court Judge Michael Ludwig has called Trump and the extreme MAGA Republicans, quote, a clear and present danger to our democracy.
Clear and present
That's
danger.
why
Brother, he can't.
respected conservatives like Federal Circuit Court Judge Michael Ludwig
He can barely get the words out of his mouth.
Trump and the extreme MAGA Republicans, quote, a clear and present danger to our democracy.
Oh, but he's quoting a federal court judge. He's not saying it himself. He's not saying it himself, people. So don't get mad at Joe. He's just saying what someone else said. Clear and present danger. We just do something. We don't need to hear it again.
That's why.
Quiet. We don't need to hear it again. I just want to just see something here. Google. Clear. Stop that. Clear and present. I haven't done this. Not United States. United States. Let me just see something. I think. Here we go. Yeah, look at this. Let me just see this here. United States Code crimes. I just want to see this because it's clear and present danger. As used in this chapter, the term riot means a public disturbance involving an act, yada, yada, yada. Three persons which act or acts shall constitute a clear and present danger. Now, the reason I'm highlighting that, it's not to say that there's any specific reference, but the concept, clear and present danger, has a military term, clear and present danger. Now the dog wants to come back in. Clear and present danger. Let's just see if it's in the United States military code. It has a military term. Here we go. I don't know. Whatever. We'll get to that later. These are not things for a president to say lightly. Hold on. Get that dog back in here. I'm just saying what another judge said about a former president and MAGA Republicans, which could number 71 million. Oh, but he's not talking about the good Republicans. He's not talking about the good conservatives. He's only talking about the MAGA Republicans. Clear and present danger. Someone on Twitter, I thought I had replied to it, but I can't find my response, said, it was like one of those meme things that says, oh, Republicans tell Biden to, go F himself. When Biden tells Republicans to go F himself, oh, they cry. And I thought I had replied, there is a wild difference between citizens telling the president to go F himself and the president telling the citizens to go F themselves. There's a wild world of difference between citizens expressing their political disdain, their political anger towards their elected leaders and saying, you guys are, call it whatever names you want. There's a difference between the citizens. I don't say verbal abuse should be tolerated. I don't say it's good. But there's a world of difference between the citizens using a certain hyperbolic political rhetoric with their leaders versus the leaders using that political rhetoric with their citizens. Love it or whether Biden likes them or hates them, Biden represents even those American citizens that don't like him and that tell him to go Brandon. No, I know Clear and Present Danger was a movie also, but it had a I as a citizen am allowed to say certain things and criticize political leaders in a way that they are not allowed to do of the citizens that they represent. Call it asymmetrical, call it childish, call it entitled. I think you're all wrong. That's what politics is. They represent the people that still don't like them. They still represent the people that don't like them. And they have to, because that's what democracy is. What's it called when a president tells 50 million Americans to go F themselves, calls them extremists? That's called tyranny. What's it called when Justin Trudeau calls 3 million Canadians wastes of space, taking up space, misogynist? That's called tyranny. Because in the mind of the dictator, He no longer has to represent those individuals. He no longer has to listen to their legitimate grievances. He gets to demonize them. That's not how it works. So, yeah, you will never see a flag of me. You will never see me carrying the F Trudeau flag. You won't see it. Someone actually gave me an F Trudeau bumper sticker at the protest. I did not. I don't want to say I threw it out because that might make him feel bad. I threw it out because I don't believe in that type of rhetoric. But a citizen telling the president to go F himself, other than being politically protected speech, is a world of difference. It's actually how democracy is supposed to work. The citizens can tell their elected officials to go F themselves. The elected officials cannot tell the citizens to go F themselves. They have to represent them, not tell them to F off. I think my kids out there hearing some ranting today. VentureBot, welcome to the channel. I have to be better on giving member perks, but there's some member community perks in the YouTubes. This is reminiscent of the speech from George Bush after passing the Patriot Act, saying you're either with us or with the terrorists. I don't remember that speech. Oh yeah, wait until we get into the double standards. Clear and present danger is a portion of military rules of engagement. Okay. Interesting. POTUS, using military terms of engagement when referring to the leading opposing political candidate and tens of millions of his followers. Totally fine. Someone says, imagine if Trump would have said this. Imagine if Trump would have stood there like a dictator in front of 3 pillars of red. It doesn't matter. Clear and present danger is also an outdated doctrine used to restrict free speech before being replaced in Brandenburg versus Ohio. Clear and present danger. It's both a claim that other speech is illicit and that it's a threat. Okay. Now, hold on, people. Let's get into some more of more. That was one clip. Just the president calling tens of millions of Americans and the leading political candidate a clear and present danger, and this is somehow acceptable to some. Okay, I made a cough joke. It was juvenile.
My fellow Americans, please, if you have a seat, take it. I speak to you tonight from sacred ground in America. Independence Hall in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Look, it happens to everybody.
This is where America
doesn't mean
made its declaration of independence to the world more than 2 centuries ago with an idea.
Okay, whatever. Okay, let's hear this one. Clear and present danger when referring to the ex-president, the former president, and MAGA Republicans. What words of wisdom are going to come out here? Too much of what's
happening in our country today is not normal. Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic. Now, I want to be very clear. Very clear up front.
Clap, you seals.
Too much of what's happening in our country today is not normal. Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic.
When you have a prime minister that comes out and tells you that those people are putting your children at risk, how does that resonate with people? When you have a president coming out referring to tens of millions of people as extremists who threaten your very existence, the president, this is not rhetoric coming from the people up. This is rhetoric coming from the president down. What impact might that have? What impact might that have? What is this? Get out of here. I don't know. Oh, okay. What impact might that have? But, you know, the old meme, the old commercial, but wait, there's more. So we got that. Wait, there's more. This was a long one, people, and we're going to have to appreciate. I'm not being hyperbolic. This is hate speech. This is, maybe I'll call it a more dinner table version of hate speech. It's like You know, when you're kids and you say to your parents, like, oh, every time I say forget you, it means F you. We're almost there. And I think we might be further. Listen to this, and you'll tell me what you think. Acceptable coming from the president or hate speech?
And here, in my view, is what is true.
What's true? It's true.
MAGA Republicans do not respect the Constitution. They do not believe in the rule of law. They do not recognize the will of the people. They refuse to accept the results of a free election. And they're working right now, as I speak, in state after state, to give power to decide elections in America to partisans and cronies, empowering election deniers to undermine democracy itself. MAGA forces are determined to take this country backwards to an America where there is no right to choose, no right to privacy, no right to contraception, no right to marry who you love. They promote authoritarian leaders and they fan the flames of political violence that are a threat to our personal rights, to the pursuit of justice, to the rule of law, to the very soul of this country.
Who watched this last night? Why does it keep going back there? Who watched this last night? Who watched that last night? In the chat. 1, you watched it. 2, you didn't. They're a threat to democracy. They're a threat to gay marriage. They're a threat to women's reproductive rights. They are extremist. They don't care. Now I forgot what 2 was. Was 2 that you watched it, or was 2 that you didn't watch it? Oh, I'm such an idiot. 1, you watched it. 2, you didn't. Okay, 2 would have been, in my mind, didn't watch it. 1, yes, you watched it. 2, no. Okay, good. So a lot of people didn't watch it. Well, you just got the highlights, people. Now, I'll steelman it. At one point in his ragingly, I'm saying schizophrenic in a political sense, in his politically schizophrenic speech, he says, we don't promote political violence. I'm not sure what other type of violence that left the door open for. We don't tolerate political violence. But meanwhile, they're an existential threat to your life, to your rights, to your children, to the republic. They're a clear and present danger. They're extremists. But yeah, let me just open up a little parentheses. But we don't believe in political violence. Horrendous. Someone said 1 on Timcast. So, and then didn't watch but can't escape. Well, you can't ignore it. That's the problem. Just be honest. Like, okay, you want to ignore it because it's so devastatingly nauseating. You can't ignore reality. The only question is you should also not obsess over it. No, I'm definitely well on the end of obsessing over reality as opposed to being able to ignore it. But you need to know what's going on. And then it's just a question of how serious of a problem is this? How bad is this? Is this like the desperate acts of a failing regime? Or is this like ratcheting up discourse for things that get worse? I watched. Did he do a live watch party? Oh, man. You have a great job doing all these things, Potato Head. Not knowing the context, I'll still take that as a compliment. So before we get into the next subject, actually, sent a link to Bush's speech on your tweet. Okay, thank you. I'm going to have a look at that. Let me just get some super chats. Becharel. Okay, so I'm keeping that because I want to check it later. Okay, I'm not reading that out loud, but thank you for the super chat. It's the 2 trends. Trudeau and Biden had some great trends. Okay, I'm not going to read that, but thank you for the chat. It's shameful for Biden to have used the Marines for that speech. Yeah, no, they look like a tool of tyranny and not fighters for freedom. Search this, le langage neutre en français. That means neutral language in French. Okay, will do. Breaking, John Podesta is joining as senior advisor to the White House. All hail Clinton 2, Darth Podesta returns. I don't believe this. I don't believe John Podesta, of those emails that we've seen, I don't believe it. John Podesta, news. John Podesta to oversee $370 billion in U.S. climate spending. Oh, it's true, people. It's true. Well, they don't call it a swamp for no reason. Eventually the swamp, it refills. In as much as it had ever been drained, it tends to just refill slowly, collapse. Mr. Podesta, a Democratic stalwart, will oversee $370 billion in clean energy investments. Gina McCarthy, the president's domestic climate advisor, is stepping down. John Podesta. Wellichy. Oh boy. Okay. It's not wrong. The imagery is befitting of the context in his speech. The text at the bottom said, "Maggie Republicans, I made a red hat with this." Maggie Republicans is not bad. And the new member, Bahri, thank you very much. Okay. So those are the highlights. There's nothing more to see. It was verbal diarrhea of the highest order the entire time. But noticeably absent from the 45 minutes of hate. Ratchet up. Get them frothing at them. Get them clapping at the extremist threats so that they don't actually say, "Oh yeah." So, and what about massive inflation? What about the issues that are actually affecting Americans? What about, I don't know, energy crisis in California? What about oil prices in America? What about all that other stuff? Like the stuff that affects everyday Americans, the ones, even the ones, or especially the ones that you're demonizing. None of it. Vapid, hate-filled, and it did not touch on any relevant political issue. And people are happy with that. It seems like tactics of folks that are losing ground, doubling down, and the othering and fear propaganda. I hope you're right, Vicky. Nice to see you again. Have I seen you? I'm not sure if I've seen you in a while. Yes, and I just hope that people are getting wise to it. But based on some of the responses on Twitter, which we're going to go to now. So I had what was one of the most, I'm not sure if it's the most popular tweet or retweet. I don't know if it was retweeted because people agreed with it or because I'm an idiot and people wanted to highlight my stupidity. 11,000 retweets. And it has, and I noticed there's a freaking typo in it today. But and the discussion about this tweet. Listen to the POTUS speech again and replace the term MAGA Republican with Jew, Muslim, Black, Japanese, or any other ethnic, racial, or religious group, and you'll truly appreciate the tenor and terror of what you just heard. The number of responses to this tweet, let's just go through it so we can see in real time. Let's just take this one, for example. Yes, judging people for the terrible things they voluntarily do is exactly the same as hating someone because of their ancestry. The loser think way that people deal with this tweet is to focus on the Black or Japanese as the racial components and then ignore the ideological discrimination in the religious discrimination. And by the way, I'm going to highlight why the racism or the discrimination against Japanese Americans was not based on race. It was based on ideological or perceived ideological leanings. It was based, as this individual says right here, on things they were accused of voluntarily doing or suspected of voluntarily doing. But let's judging people for the terrible things they voluntarily do. Awesome. That's exactly what every racially discriminating, religious discriminator says. All right, I'm only judging them based on what they voluntarily do, what they voluntarily adhere to by way of ideology. If they don't want me hating them, they should just stop practicing that religion. They should just stop espousing those beliefs. Oh, they don't have to believe it. It's not, I'm not hating them because of some immutable factor. I'm only hating them because of things they choose to do. That's the rationale for why the hatred, because they're admitting it. Yes, I hate what I think are MAGA Republicans. Why? Well, it's justified because it's based on their actual views and what they actually voluntarily do. Awesome. Now do religion. Now do religion and show me the difference. So I'll get to the tweet because it's just funny. Like, I will acknowledge, I'll steel man the argument. Someone's going to say, Well, let's just take Yahtzees, for example. White supremacists. They have an ideology which, by its premise, is offensive. Let's just operate on that premise. Okay, so now if I say white supremacists are a threat to democracy, or if I say communists are a threat to democracy, it's an ideological belief. Do I say then, is it right for me then to foment hate against communists? Well, some might say no, because the communists even have a political party in a democratic system. Just setting that aside. But someone's going to say the discrimination is justified because it's what they believe. And therefore, I can legitimately hate them, legitimately demonize them because their beliefs are antithetical to what I think are virtuous beliefs. I'll grant that to some extent. Your reaction would still not be to demonize and arguably sick politics on them. There are many people who espouse beliefs that I don't share. They're not in the tens of millions. And if they're in the tens of millions, the proper thing might not be to demonize them to the point that they're being demonized. But I will close that parenthesis and say, look, MAGA Republican, some people say it's the same thing as communism. And so communism is fundamentally anti-democratic. It's a threat to democracy. Setting aside the fact that we actually have communist Marxist parties that run for office, you would let that discussion happen. You don't shut it down. But MAGA Republican is not in any way fundamentally anything except by the people who say it to justify their hatred. Inasmuch, by the way, as people who want to justify religious discrimination will say, well, the religion is fundamentally supremacist. It's fundamentally fascistic. And therefore, I'm justified in hating it. If they don't want me hating them, they don't have to espouse those beliefs. And by the way, you can still hate if you want to be a hateful bigot. At the very least, just admit it then. Yeah, I hate them because of what they think. Okay, let's see how far that goes. But people saying it's not the same thing as race. Race you can't change. Okay. When Japanese Americans were put into internment camps during World War II, it wasn't because of their race. It was specifically because at the time, people said these people are a clear and present danger. These people hold ideas. They hold loyalties, allegiance to a foreign government and are therefore a threat to our democracy. And why? Well, because a number of them flew planes and were responsible for Pearl Harbor. We're at war with another country, and a number of them carried out this atrocity. And therefore, these Americans, not because of their race, but because of the ideology that we impute on them, we say they're dangerous. We say they adhere to ideologies that are a threat to democracy, clear and present danger. Stick them in camps. Oh, but it was different because the MAGA, they didn't try to storm. The MAGA Republicans didn't. The Japanese didn't try to storm the Capitol, except the rationale for putting all Japanese Americans under that umbrella was that some Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. So now we've gotten into some protesters stormed the Capitol. Therefore, all MAGA Republicans are existential threats to the United States. But we were wrong when we did it to the Japanese back in the 1940s. We were wrong then. We're right now, though. These people really are existential threats. When we said those people were existential threats to justify what we did to them 80 years ago, okay, we made a mistake then, but trust us, we got it right. We got it right now. Oh. This feels like a speech to pave the way for actions against those who dare criticize the regime. That's been in the making for a long time. I mean, Canada is trying to put in laws. Canada's trying to put in laws to restrict what you can say online. And any form of political criticism is going to be deemed to be threatening stochastic political terrorism. And that's where it's going. In the United States, Americans have a much more, I'll even say a religious faith in the First Amendment, and rightly so. What's up, brother? Murph's Kicks on IG. Where are your shoes? Hold on. Oh. Oh yeah, let me just get my hair back. Murph's Kicks on IG. Murph sent me these custom Viva Frei beautiful shoes. Oh yeah. Look at this. It's even got Viva Frei on the tongue. Everything's thought out on these things. I haven't jogged in the Murph because I don't want to ruin them. I use the old ones for jogging. Twitter can't hurt you. Did you hear the hecklers? Let's go, Brandon. Oh yeah, and then he says, oh yeah, with the hecklers. I was going to publish that clip as well because that was a great highlight. He says they have the right. What did he say? They have the right. I don't want to make a mistake. Google. He was so courteous with the hecklers. After calling them extremist threats, existential threats, clear and present danger, he was Biden hecklers speech. They're entitled to be outrageous. That's what he says. They're entitled to be outrageous. Let them. Oh, he's such a gentleman. They're entitled to be outrageous. But then he said something else. Manners. Good manners is nothing they've ever suffered from. Good manners is nothing they've ever suffered from. By the way, go back to my other tweet, fill in the blank, MAGA Republicans with any other race, religion, or ethnicities. Good manners is nothing they've ever suffered from. Where have people said that before? About which groups have people said that before? About when people are exercising the most fundamental, insidious tennis club discrimination, racism, bigotry. That is exactly what they say. Good manners is something that group of people have never suffered from. Cheers, martini time. V for Vendetta is happening in that speech image. Yeah, I put that together yesterday. Brothers, bothers me when people say propaganda and authoritarianism wouldn't be necessary if they were winning. Pretty sure that's not the case in. I get that. Now hold on. There was a 10 euro. 10 euro. Where? I always want to ask where people are from here. I'm thinking the purpose of the speech was to predispose the public to the indictment of Trump. We've been there for a while. I mean, that's one of the operating theories. UK Labour Party sing to the red flag of communism. Hold on. I'm missing a specific super chat. I'm just going to read it. Rastaman the Druid says Democrats push Trump's ratings up with the January 6th and Mar-a-Lago raids. Since the only chance for Joe in 2024 is running against Trump, it is Clinton 2.0 all over again. Dear God, if we see Clinton come back to politics. Twitter is run by lefty commies for starts. Hence, I would not put too much emphasis on Twitter ratios mirroring society. Plus, certain. Okay, here we go. No, that's not it. I just watched Joe Biden's speech. Question: should they have someone in the background of the lady singing what the protesters are saying? Oh, yeah. Did they have sign language? I didn't notice sign language on YouTube. Look up the Niihau Island incident, where a crashed Japanese pilot was helped by two local Japanese Americans to try to escape capture. Here we go. This is it. Rastaman. Okay, got it. Booyah. Happy anniversary. Welcome to the Florida land of the free. It's a different world out here. We'll get into just some minor comparisons to Canada when we I discovered a policy yesterday. I might have to make a short video about it. Thank you very much, Asior. Now, hold on. Back to this. Add to stream. Eric Hunley might be popping in as well, so we can get the feedback of an American and ex-military man. Okay. Here we go. Not to put anyone on blast, this is a legitimate discussion that we're having. Come on, Viva. I agree with the spirit of your post, but racial discrimination based on immutable characteristics is plainly distinguishable from viewpoint discrimination, especially among lawyers. You can do better than this. I hate that last sentence. Doesn't matter. Not going to be sensitive. Discrimination against the Japanese during World War II was not based on race. It was based on perceived viewpoints and the reported clear and present danger due to that perceived viewpoint. Like an immutable, and then people say, well, but religion is not an immutable characteristic, but it's religion. It's different than politics. So I can preach hatred against people with different political ideologies, and I can treat them all as though they're existential threats, even if I operate on the basis that a small group of them engaged in a protest that got violent. Well, anyhow. What else was there? We'll move on to. Oh yeah, this was great. Japanese American incarceration during World War II. In his speech to Congress, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt declared that the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor on December 7 was a date which will live in infamy. The attack launched the United States fully into two theaters of war, Europe and Pacific. Prior to Pearl Harbor, the United States had been involved in a non-combat role, selling weapons to both sides through the Lend-Lease program that supplied England, China, Russia, and other anti-fascist countries with munitions. The attack on Pearl Harbor also launched a rash of fear about national security, viewpoint, ideology, not immutable characteristics. Whoever thinks that you can distinguish between the Japanese internment because it was based on race, it wasn't. That's a naive take of history, especially on the West Coast. In 1942, just 2 months later, President Roosevelt, as commander-in-chief, issued Executive Order 9066 that resulted in the internment of Japanese Americans. The order authorized the Secretary of War and military commanders to evacuate all persons deemed a threat from the West Coast to internment camps. Oh yeah, no. But they were wrong back then. It's even ratified by the Supreme Court. They were wrong. They got it wrong now. Trust us. Our hatred now, based on this group that we are demonizing as existential threats, is right. Okay, I think that milks it. Do we need to talk about this anymore, people? Let me see what chat. Do we don't? Now we got two more things to talk about. Are we done with this speech? Repulsive. I think we can agree that it was politically repulsive. Last night, Biden stopped being a POTUS and became an emperor. The analogies between Emperor Palpatine, Chancellor from V for Vendetta, it's classic. It's classic. My theory is people inside the Biden campaign actually hate Biden, and they're trying to set him up by making the optics look like that. The double standard, by the way. Where was it where there was where was it that the Republicans had like tables that looked like they might have been shaped in a certain format, and people went crazy, or something looked like an eagle, and Twitter went crazy. But you literally set up a backdrop that literally looks, minus the stash, like something else out of a very dark time in history. Crickets. Oh, okay. Oh, I almost fell over backwards. What was the thing I just want? Oh, the guys. It went from nuclear codes. To documents not even marked as classified. Hold on. Where's the link? Dude, where is the link to the article today? No. Here we go. Guys, breaking. Back to Trump. Existential threat. Over 10,000 government documents without classified markings were seized from former President Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate. I don't know what this means. Like, I'm trying to think, is this an accusation that the documents were in fact classified but lacked the marking? Or are we now moving from nuclear documents to 10,000 government to documents that didn't even have classified markings? So just make sure we understand it. Over 10,000 government docs without classified markings were seized. Okay. Besides documents marked top secret and classified, which we don't know if they were declassified, newly unsealed information shows Trump also had a mountain of other documents and photos. Oh my God, he had documents that weren't classified? That's much worse than having documents that were classified. That's so much worse than photos. framed magazines of time, in addition to troves of information marked secret and top secret. You know it's troves because the FBI took them out of boxes and laid them out for a photograph that would be ultimately posted to social media. The FBI search of the former president of Florida's home turned up 10,000 US documents and photographs without classification markings. So what? You just want to throw a number out there? The Justice Department court filing filed under seal earlier this week, but unsealed by the judge Friday, also shows investigators found more than 40 empty folders. Empty folders. Not just unclassified documents, empty folders with classified banners on them. He gave it to the Russians. Trump emptied those classified folders. He gave it to the Russians. That has to be what happened. It's unclear what happened to the information that had been inside those folders. Insinuation. It is a war of insinuation, supposition, half information, disinformation. The government has not publicly indicated that it believes any classified documents are missing. Oh, oof. Empty folders, people. From nuclear documents to unclassified and empty folders. Maybe in a court filing earlier this week, it noted that the Office of the Director of National Intelligence is leading a damage assessment of the documents removed from the Mar-a-Lago to determine the potential risk to national security that improper storage of these highly sensitive materials may have caused. Oh, it will never end. It's the people who are accusing the other side of not respecting democracy, not respecting the will of the people, are not respecting the will of at least 71 million people, are doing everything they can to ensure that the leading political adversarial candidate should be blocked from running. And they actually go out and just, make those accusations of others. Do we want to talk about Canada for a few minutes? I got a call from someone yesterday, and I'm going to make sure that I describe this in the most
threat to our democracy.
No, here.
The president thinks that there is an extremist threat to our democracy. The president has been clear as he can be on that particular piece when we talk about a democracy, when we talk about our freedoms. The way that he sees is the MAGA Republicans are the most energized part of the Republican Party. This is an extreme threat to our democracy, to our freedom, to our rights. They just don't respect the rule of law. The president thinks that there is an extremist threat to.
This speech is very reminiscent of Jagmeet Singh talking about extremist right-wingers. I got to do it. If nobody's seen it, you're gonna vomit. I think many of you have seen it probably multiple times. Jagmeet Singh. I think it was this one right here. It was at a CPAC meeting. This is it right here.
If you're running ads on TikTok,
listen to this,
ads,
people.
I'm about to prove to you that you're missing out on potentially 30, 50, 100% increases in revenue with no changes
really?
to your...
Goodbye.
Yes, I do think that there is an connection with people who aren't wearing a mask or who aren't following public health guidance and the extreme right, and the idea that folks in the extreme right don't care about people around them, aren't concerned about the safety and well-being of people generally, their neighbors. And an extreme right, that kind of ideology is connected with not really caring about the people around you. It's
diarrhea,
selfishness,
verbal diarrhea, selfishness.
Personal interest takes over from a community protection and interest. And we're seeing, that is a trend with the extreme right, not caring about people around you, not wanting to invest in social programs, not wanting to invest in things that support all of us as a community. And the idea of not following public health guidelines and not wanting to do their part to stop the spread of an infection is very much in line with this extreme right-wing ideology of not caring about people, not supporting the people around you. And it is dangerous and it's hurtful.
It's dangerous. What the front door is he talking about? Just I know I've done it. I'll say it again. Jagmeet Singh breaks rules. Oh, yeah. Jagmeet Singh, it's selfish, extremist, don't care about community. Jagmeet Singh apologizes after video shows him breaking COVID rules. Where's the picture of him hugging his? It doesn't matter. We've all seen this. Jagmeet Singh, 2 weeks later, gets caught breaking the rules, not wearing a mask, yada yada yada. Hold on here. There we go. Here's the video. I don't think there's any audio. There is this Jagmeet Singh, not wearing a mask, breaking the bubble. Oh, look at that. Wait, we weren't close enough. Let's get closer. Oh, yeah. Selfish, right-wing extremists. Don't care about community. Don't care about the others. 2 weeks after he made that speech, that's what happened. And then he had to apologize. I had a momentary lapse. I wanted to be human again. Let's go to the chat here. Let's go to the chat before we it's hurtful. It's hurtful. Not wearing a mask is hurtful. Now, especially now that we know no medical advice, no legal advice, no election fortification advice. I got a call yesterday. Biden's black and red with Marine Honor Guard in back worries me. I got a call yesterday from a Canadian who is Canadian, married a non-Canadian. Between the two of them, they have 2 kids who are luckily young enough that they don't have to quarantine when entering Canada. I don't know if the kids are Canadian or not. Long story short, the question is asked, the non-Canadian spouse can't seem to get into Canada because the non-Canadian spouse is not vaccinated. Not that the non-Canadian spouse can get into Canada and then go through what I think is unlawful detention of 14 days of quarantine. Unlawful, unscientific, unconstitutional, unconscionable, and inhumane. It's not even that this family can remain as a family unit when traveling back to the country that is the country of one of the 2 of the spouses. The unvaccinated non-Canadian spouse can't get into Canada. And therefore, either one spouse takes 2 young children to Canada, or one spouse leaves 2 children with the other spouse to go to Canada. This is the state of Canada. And I called up the government to make sure nobody knows jack squat. They're all reading from from websites. Well, it looks here that the spouse might be able to get in for compassionate reasons. Reasons of compassion. Because the science of Canada is such that unvaccinated non-Canadians cannot get into the country. Maybe some of you out there are saying, good, they get what they deserve. Just take the jab for the greater good. Now that we know what we know about, I believe even YouTube has changed the terms of service or the community guidelines such that one can now say on the platform, the jab doesn't prevent transmission. We know that as a matter of fact and science now. Nonetheless, Justin Trudeau, follow the science, man, says if you're not vaccinated, you're not coming into the country, even if it means splitting up families. Here, look at this. Unvaccinated foreign nationals. If you don't qualify as fully vaccinated, as a fully vaccinated traveler, you must make an online application request to enter for compassionate reasons. You must have written approval prior to your entry to Canada. Without this advance approval, you'll likely be denied entry. You can also apply for a limited release from quarantine for compassionate reasons if you require a limited release from. Do you know what this sounds like? This is not science. This is fascistic tyranny. But compassionate reasons? Do you know what in North Korea? I'm going to cough. Hold on one second. In North Korea, what is it? Once a year, where even the benevolent dictator of North Korea, for compassion reasons, allows families to be reunited in the what is it called? The demilitarized zone. North Korea compassion reunions. South Korea. Does anybody know about this? Korean reunions, families divided by war. Oh, but we're not divided by war. We're divided by pandemic. It's so much different. We're at war with a virus. Families divided by war meet in North Korea. A group of mostly elderly South Koreans travel to a tourist resort in the north for the event, the first such reunion for 3 years. The Korean War. So yada, yada, yada. These brief meetings are likely to be the last and only time many will see each other. But they do it for even Kim Jong-un or whoever, Kim Jong-il, I don't know who was in power at this time. Even the most tyrannical of tyrants, I'm sorry, I'm putting in tyrant and not Twitter. Even the most tyrannical of tyrants allows for compassionate visits. Apply for a compassion reason to enter the country or to escape your 14 days of quarantine by virtue of your unvaccinated status. That's Canada now. That's Trudeau's Canada. And I have heard stories of families who have been actually separated because the unvaccinated non-Canadian spouse cannot get into Canada. Just trust the science, people. Don't be bigots. Don't be selfish. I hear someone knocking at the door. It's people. This is what's going on in Canada, and meanwhile, in Florida, in the United States, in certain states, there's a reason why. I've said it before. Say it again. There's a reason why Trudeau wants to make life as miserable as possible for people who want to travel. God forbid people should come down and see what's going on in the rest of the world, to compare it and to contrast it to what's going on in Canada. It's unconscionable, it's inhumane, and now this family needs to split up so that the Canadian unvaxxed individual, who will now have to go through 14 days of quarantine, daily harassment by the government to make sure that individual is where that individual is supposed to be based on vaccination status, even though we know everything we know now, because Justin Trudeau trusts the science. Split up families. Oh, but compassion. Justin Trudeau's better than Kim Jong-un. Get written approval from the government for compassion reasons. Compassionate. If someone dies, you can go. Other than that, piss off, you filthy vermin. You dirty caste of unvaxxed foreign nationals. And I do appreciate traveling to a country that's not your own is a privilege and not a right. Breaking up families, however, that also is a privilege of the tyrant. The control that government thinks that they have and that they do in fact have over every aspect, however intimate, of citizen life, it's a tyrant's wet dream. And Justin Trudeau is living it and loving it now. Now, I wanted to show you where I put the Team America GIF. Let's see.
About the National Assessment of Educational Progress has this new testing that shows that 9-year-olds lost ground in both.
Why is she turning pages? Someone pointed it out to me, and now I can't unsee it. Why is she? Wait until she blames everything on Republicans.
Math and reading in pretty dramatic ways as a result of the pandemic. What is the president going to do about it? What is the administration going to do about this severe learning loss? And does the administration shoulder any blame for not pushing schools to reopen sooner?
So let's step back to where we were.
Let me just
not
divert.
Too long ago, when this president walked into this administration.
I'm just going to pause it there for 1 second, actually, because I was listening to this question and having gone to the parent-teacher interview, I'm hearing the teachers talk about the developmental delays of a generation. There's going to be a lasting impact on a generation of children from I'm calling it abuse, from the abuse that adults inflicted on them. And you hear this question. She's asking, there's a problem. There's a developmental problem, among other things, educational problem, because of what we've done to these kids. And once you actually just stop and appreciate that, it's an atrocity. Let's go on with the answer now.
How mismanaged the pandemic, the response to the pandemic was.
How mismanaged. They're trying to blame it on Trump when it was done, for the most part, at state levels. Where was it mismanaged the most? New York, Michigan, Pennsylvania. Oh no, blame Trump. Just try to find a way to blame Republicans, because she will. Because Jean-Pierre is a pathological paid government liar. I feel terrible for her because I can't imagine she can sleep well at night.
How 47% of schools were in less than 6 months. Our schools went from 46% to open to nearly all of them being open to full time. That was the work of this president, and that was the work of Democrats, in spite of Republicans not voting for the American Rescue Plan, which $130 billion went to school to have the ventilation, to be able to have the tutoring and the teachers, and being able to hire more teachers. And that was because of the work that this administration did. We were in a place where, again, schools were not open. The economy was shut down. Businesses were shut down. And what we have seen is...
There is only one gift to how By the way, I laughed so hard during this scene of Team America, I nearly peed myself. I just, my kids are still too young to watch this movie, but definitely two of them. Even my oldest one might still be a little too young. That scene was the best. I mean, it's one of the best scenes in cinematic history. I can't listen to the rest of this answer. This is what I wanted to show you. Oh, it was Trump's fault for not reopening schools. Setting aside the fact that, unless I'm mistaken, those were state decisions. Trump pushes states to reopen. I mean, I remember it because I lived it. And the press secretary has to think her viewers, the people listening to this drivel, are idiots, forgot, or never knew. When Trump was pushing to reopen the schools, they were saying blood will be on your hands. It is just astounding to have absolutely no principles. Push to open the schools, blood what afterwards, blame them for not opening the schools. It's how you know you're dealing with a troll, where no matter what you do, they're going to criticize you, because there will always be room to criticize. Oh, forget that. I had a stupid thing. Just look at the montage. It's a thing of beauty. Oh, but it's Trump's fault. It's Trump's fault. You know what? The powers that be might be saving us. You know what? Forget it. I'm not your buddy guy. I'm glad she is in that role, as it just highlights the pure idiocy of what is happening. It's beyond idiocy, people. Anyhow, so that's it. But look, I'll tell you one thing. The reaction to the speech last night. You have your vocal. You have. I don't know who's the vocal minority anymore. You have people. The temp of the pot is too hot. This frog wants out. You have a lot of people, reacting appropriately, I think, being shocked, outraged by the tenor of Joe Biden's speech. I think it's a good sign. Do not. I still think there are a lot of people who think, and it's not a far-fetched theory. My goodness, would they not love to have another January 6th event? Would they not love to have someone lash out in response to the constant barrage of insults and dehumanizing speech? Would they love it? Do not do it. Ever, period. Do not become the monster that you are battling. Do not stare into that abyss for too long, people. Okay, now I'm going to make sure I can read this. Okay, so I don't know what that is. I think the Canadian government is issuing the Homeless Euthanasia Act is a front. It's a cover. It's the cover of the mass injury, chronic illness. Yeah. Okay, interesting. Now, this, people, before we leave for the day, Becherel, gender neutral. Let's just do this for 1 second. How can, there we go. Okay. The Becherel, that little green book. Becherel, gender neutral, français. Oh no. Okay, this is from the Washington Post. In as much as any movie will be satire and parody, life will always find a way. If I may quote Jeff Goldblum, life finds a way to be more absurd than parody. A French dictionary added a gender-neutral pronoun. That's not so. Okay, opponents say it's too woke. What is going on in that picture? I'm not paying for this. The decision from a French dictionary to add il as a gender-neutral pronoun has become popular in the non-binary community in recent years. To its lexicon has... Okay. That ain't going to do it. Gender-neutral traduction. No, it's not that. Becherel. Well, I guess if we do Becherel non-neutre, that's going to be it. Le langage... This is so amazing. Le langage neutre en français, but that's not it. That's not it. That would make no sense because le langage is already non-masculin for language. It's male language. Écriture. Becherel, Wiktionnaire. French dictionary. That is what we want to see here. Okay, so this is the same article. Maybe we'll be able to read it without having to get through a paywall. French dictionary. Oh, that's the Eiffel Tower. I will never see the Eiffel Tower again for the rest of my life, and I'm comfortable with that. Okay, Le Robert. That's the French dictionary. Oh, come on, get out of here. Le Robert, an authoritative reference book on the French language, created an entry for il after its researchers had noted that, quote, an increasing usage of the third person pronoun in a large body of texts drawn from various sources. The dictionary's director, but I'm trying to think of how il works. The dictionary defines il, which combines the words he and she, elle, lui, il, and elle. Okay, I get it. Hey, we're getting a little French language today. Il, il in French, and elle, is him and her in French. So this just seems like a gender-neutral il. Okay, I get it. The word is labeled rare, as its use remains relatively low despite a surge. But here's the question. In French, I almost knocked over my camera. In French, when you have il ou elle, it changes how you conjugate verbs. And so you'll have a two L's, E for feminine, and just an EL for masculine. How are you going to conjugate gender-specific verbs or qualify gender-specific adjectives for el? Is it going to have one L or double LE? Is it going to be conjugated or described along the masculine descriptive or the feminine descriptive? And if it's going to be a neutral descriptive, what's it going to be? Okay. Jamais entendu parler de ça. You got to be from Quebec, Mathieu Poulin. That means I've never heard them talking about this. Me neither, actually. I actually never heard this in French. Viva French is hot. I question my soy intake now, David Martin. Oh boy. Okay. Well, so that's it. So there's some truth to that story. People, this thing has to go for a walk. Hold on. Oh, he's so soft and mushy. It'll be ignored. You said conjugates. Who said that? Okay, people, that was glorious. Now I'm going to go. I missed Eric Hunley with Grobert at 12:30. They have a show at 12. But they have a show tonight at 5:30. I might try to pop in. I might not be able to because tonight is anniversary dinner. We will, my wife and I, we will make a barbecue, and then we will. She said no more babies, people. She said no more babies, and I No more babies. So 3 and 2 dogs is all we're going to have. Why is parts of replays on talk show segments about Trudeau government censored for Canadian internet users, and you need a VPN like China to see censored videos? No one is watching the same thing. McKinnon, you tag me in a tweet that shows which video is censored in Canada, and I will see to it to find it in the States. Release. Oh, hold on 1 second. We got it. Release the pull. I didn't even see what I pulled up. Release the Winnie for the win. I am Lord Winston. I am master of the universe. I am so tired. I fall asleep when my father. No. He's actually sleeping. Mwah. Okay, get out of here. I'm going to take you for a walk. People, thank you. It's been glorious. As a cunning lingus. What else is there? Sunday night, going to be an epic Sunday night stream. If we get to the rocket launch tomorrow, I might try to live stream it. We'll see if it can be done. What else? Keep trying to reach people. Keep trying to reach people with good sense, common logic, and make them reflect on their own thoughts for just 1 second. Oh, MAGA, you can demonize tens of millions of Americans for ideological reasons. Awesome. Now do religion. Oh, but no, but they are fascists. Awesome. Now do religion. Oh, but they didn't try to overthrow a government. Awesome. Now do some of the most common accusations of specific religions. Just try to make them understand for a second. A, we're neighbors. We have to live with each other. It's not good to have bad neighbors. And B, it's not that hard. Just for a second, maybe think that most people just want what's best for their future and that of their children. Maybe. With the exception, possibly, of the politicians who might have other interests in mind. They might have other guiding factors. They might have other motivating factors. But that's it. That's it. Good vibes. Get out there. Get some exercise. Get some sun. And I dare say I have time to go fishing. I will. I have time to go fishing before dinner. People, thank you as always for spending time with me. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope it's, what did I say? Going to end the show this way from now on. Conduct yourselves in such a way that would make your parents and your children proud, and you can't go wrong. See you tomorrow. Good night. Peace.